Ladies and gentlemen, in the world of anime, smiles often symbolize hope, innocence, or victory. But sometimes, the absence of a smile tells a far deeper story. And no character represents that silent pain more powerfully than Levi Ackerman. Levi Ackerman's childhood in the underground city is the foundation of everything he becomes later, and it explains why silence feels more natural to him than words, and why a smile almost never appears on his face. Childhood is often where ideals are born, dreams of freedom, justice, or becoming someone great. Levi's childhood does the opposite. It strips ideals away before they ever have a chance to form. The underground city is not just dark and poor, it is emotionally suffocating. There is no sunlight to symbolize hope, no space to dream, and no promise that tomorrow will be better than today. Growing up there teaches Levi that the world does not care how you feel, only whether you survive. From a very young age, Levi learns that emotional expression has no value in a place where life is constantly at risk. In the underground, people don't smile because they're happy, they smile when they're lying, manipulating, or hiding fear. This environment trains Levi to distrust emotional displays. Silence becomes safer than words. A neutral expression becomes armor. This kind of upbringing creates characters who are emotionally guarded not because they lack feelings, but because they learned early that feelings can get you killed. Levi's relationship with survival is deeply personal. Every day in the underground is a test of endurance. Food is scarce, danger is everywhere, and death is common. Children don't get to be children for long. Levi doesn't have the luxury of processing emotions slowly or openly. If he feels fear, he suppresses it. If he feels sadness, he buries it. Over time, this suppression becomes habit, and that habit becomes personality. By the time Levi leaves the underground, emotional restraint isn't something he chooses, it's who he is. Characters who suffer as children grow up loud, angry, or driven by revenge. Levi is different. His suffering doesn't explode outward, it collapses inward. He becomes quiet, controlled, and precise. This emotional discipline is directly tied to his environment. In the underground, attention can attract danger. Being noticed can make you a target. Levi learns to exist without drawing attention to himself. Smiling, laughing, or expressing joy would have made him visible in a world where visibility often leads to pain. Another crucial part of Levi's childhood is the absence of safety. There is no one consistently protecting him, no stable home, and no reassurance that things will be okay. This teaches Levi not to rely on emotional comfort. In anime, many characters are saved emotionally by mentors or parental figures who teach them hope. Levi's experience teaches him the opposite lesson: hope without preparation is weakness. That belief follows him throughout his life and explains why his expressions remain guarded even in moments of victory. Levi's silence is often mistaken for coldness, but in the context of his upbringing, it is a survival language. He communicates through action rather than emotion because actions were the only reliable currency in the underground. Words could lie, smiles could deceive, actions kept you alive. This mindset shapes not just how Levi fights, but how he lives. He doesn't smile easily because smiling was never part of survival. It was never rewarded, it was never necessary. Characters shaped by darkness often carry that darkness with them even when they reach the surface. Levi leaves the underground physically, but psychologically, it never leaves him. His quiet presence, his controlled expressions, and his lack of visible joy are not signs of emotional emptiness. They are proof of a childhood where emotions had to be locked away to make it through another day. Levi doesn't smile because his world never taught him how, and more importantly, never gave him a reason to. Levi Ackerman's inability to smile is not just rooted in where he grew up, but in who he lost along the way. Loss often acts as a turning point that reshapes a character's identity, and for Levi, loss is not a single moment, it is a pattern that follows him throughout his life. Unlike characters who experience one defining tragedy, Levi experiences repeated, relentless loss, and over time, that repetition erodes his relationship with joy itself. From the beginning, death is not a shock to Levi, it is an expectation. People disappear from his life suddenly and permanently. In an environment like the underground city, attachments are dangerous because they make you vulnerable. Levi learns early that caring deeply means risking pain that you may not survive emotionally. As a result, he becomes careful with connection. He does not stop forming bonds, but he never allows himself to fully relax into them. Smiling, in this sense, becomes risky. A smile suggests safety, comfort, or happiness, things Levi knows can be taken away without warning. Many characters respond to loss with visible grief. They cry, scream, or collapse under the weight of their emotions. Levi's response is different. His grief is internalized. Every loss tightens something inside him instead of breaking him outwardly. This internalization is why his expression rarely changes. Smiling would require a sense of emotional security that Levi never truly feels. Even in moments of calm, part of him is always prepared for the next loss. Levi's relationship with his comrades deepens this pattern. Each new bond carries the shadow of inevitability. He understands, better than anyone, that most soldiers will not survive long enough to grow old. This awareness prevents him from indulging in lightheartedness. Smiling often represents hope for the future. Levi does not allow himself that hope easily because hope makes loss hurt more. His emotional restraint is a form of self-protection. What makes Levi's silence especially tragic is that he does care deeply. His lack of visible emotion is not a lack of feeling, it is evidence of feeling too much. Every fallen comrade leaves a mark on him. He remembers names, faces, and promises. In anime, memory is often portrayed as power, but it can also be a burden. Levi carries memory like a weight, and that weight leaves little room for joy. Smiling would feel like a betrayal of those who never got the chance to smile again. Levi's expressionlessness also reflects his sense of responsibility. When people die around him, he does not blame fate or circumstance, he blames himself. This self-directed responsibility tightens his emotional world even further. Leaders often distance themselves emotionally to maintain authority. Levi does not do this for power, he does it because allowing himself happiness feels undeserved when others paid the ultimate price. There are brief moments where Levi's guard almost drops, small flashes of softness, quiet concern, or subtle understanding. These moments are rare, and that rarity makes them powerful. They remind the audience that beneath the hardened exterior is someone who still feels deeply. In anime symbolism, such restraint makes a character more human, not less. Levi's inability to smile is not emotional failure, it is emotional consequence. Levi does not smile because smiling suggests permanence, and nothing in his life has ever been permanent. Friendships end in death, victories are followed by greater losses. Peace never lasts. In a world like Attack on Titan, smiling can feel naive, even dangerous. Levi chooses awareness over innocence, control over comfort. His face becomes a mirror of his reality, serious, scarred, and honest. Ultimately, Levi's lack of a smile is not a flaw but a scar. It is the visible mark of a life shaped by loss, responsibility, and survival. The most tragic characters are not those who cry the loudest, but those who carry their pain quietly and keep moving forward anyway. Levi Ackerman never smiles not because he cannot feel happiness, but because his world has taught him that happiness never stays long enough to trust. Levi Ackerman's emotional distance is not the result of coldness, but of discipline shaped by trauma. Emotional expression is often exaggerated, characters shout their feelings, cry openly, or let rage explode outward. Levi exists as a sharp contrast to that norm. His restraint is deliberate, learned, and necessary. It is the product of a life where emotional exposure could mean weakness, and weakness could mean death. From an early age, Levi understands that showing emotion invites vulnerability. In the underground city, emotions are liabilities. Sympathy can be exploited, trust can be betrayed, fear can get you killed. Levi learns to lock his emotions behind a controlled exterior because doing otherwise is dangerous. Over time, this survival tactic becomes part of who he is. He does not turn his emotions off, he organizes them, controls them, and keeps them from interfering with action. Symbolism, emotional control often represents maturity born from suffering. Levi embodies this completely. When chaos erupts, his mind becomes calm. When others panic, he narrows his focus. This psychological stillness is not natural, it is trained through constant exposure to danger and loss. His emotional distance allows him to function when others would freeze or break. In battle, this makes him terrifyingly effective. Outside of battle, it makes him appear distant, even unapproachable. Levi's emotional restraint is also deeply connected to leadership. As someone responsible for the lives of others, he cannot afford emotional indulgence. Every decision he makes carries consequences, and hesitation rooted in emotion could cost lives. Leaders are often portrayed as either compassionate or ruthless. Levi occupies a rare middle ground. He cares deeply, but he refuses to let that care cloud his judgment. This balance isolates him emotionally, but it also makes him reliable. One of the most painful aspects of Levi's emotional distance is that it is self-imposed. He chooses restraint because he believes it is necessary. He believes that allowing himself emotional closeness would make future loss unbearable. This belief creates a cycle. The more he loses, the more he withdraws, the more he withdraws, the lonelier he becomes. In anime storytelling, this cycle often defines tragic characters, those who protect others by sacrificing their own emotional well-being. Levi's silence plays a critical role in how he processes trauma. Instead of expressing grief outwardly, he internalizes it. Every loss becomes part of him. He does not seek comfort, reassurance, or validation. Characters often heal through connection. Levi heals through endurance. He keeps moving, keeps fighting, keeps surviving, not because he has healed, but because stopping would mean confronting pain he does not believe he can afford to face. This emotional distance also affects how others perceive him. To many, Levi seems cold, harsh, or indifferent. But this perception misses the truth. Levi's restraint is a form of respect, for the dead, for the living, and for the seriousness of the world he inhabits. He does not trivialize loss with emotional excess. He honors it by continuing the mission. In anime culture, this quiet respect often speaks louder than dramatic expression. There are moments when Levi's emotional control cracks slightly, brief flashes of anger, sorrow, or tenderness. These moments are rare, and that rarity gives them immense weight. They reveal the cost of his restraint. They show that beneath the calm surface is a person carrying more pain than he allows anyone to see. Such restraint often marks a character as deeply human, shaped by experience rather than idealism. Levi Ackerman's emotional distance is not a lack of feeling, it is the price he pays to keep going. It is the armor he wears to survive a world that takes everything from those who are not prepared. His silence, his restraint, and his serious expression are not signs of emptiness. They are signs of someone who has felt too much and learned to carry it quietly. In the language of anime, that kind of emotional control is not weakness, it is one of the most painful forms of strength. Levi Ackerman's inability to smile is not a simple personality trait, it is the final result of a life shaped by loss, responsibility, and survival. Smiles often symbolize hope, innocence, or emotional release. Characters smile to reassure others, to mask pain, or to celebrate victory. Levi does none of these, not because he cannot feel happiness, but because smiling feels dishonest in a world built on sacrifice. From Levi's perspective, a smile suggests safety. It suggests that the worst is over. But in his life, the worst is never truly over. Growing up in the underground city teaches him that peace is temporary and danger is constant. When you learn early that tomorrow is never guaranteed, optimism becomes fragile. Smiling feels like tempting fate. Levi learns to keep his guard up at all times, even in moments when others might relax. His seriousness is not pessimism, it is preparedness. In Japanese anime storytelling, characters who rarely smile often carry the heaviest burdens. Levi fits this archetype perfectly. He survives when others do not, and survival itself becomes a source of guilt. Every time he lives while someone else dies, the emotional gap widens. Smiling would feel like a betrayal of the dead. Levi carries their memory with him, and that memory weighs too much to allow lightness. His expression becomes a form of respect, a silent acknowledgement of those who never got the chance to smile again. Another reason Levi never smiles is tied to responsibility. As a leader, he believes his role is to remain steady, not comforting. He does not want his soldiers to misinterpret confidence for safety. False hope is often portrayed as more dangerous than fear. Levi understands this deeply. A smile from him could suggest that everything will be fine, when in reality, death is always a possibility. He chooses honesty over comfort, even when that honesty makes him appear cold. Levi's lack of a smile is also a form of emotional self-protection. Smiling opens the door to vulnerability. It invites connection, warmth, and emotional exposure. For someone who has lost everyone he has ever been close to, that exposure feels dangerous. Levi keeps emotional distance because closeness makes loss more painful. In anime narratives, characters often struggle with attachment because attachment invites suffering. Levi resolves this struggle by limiting emotional expression altogether. There is also a deeper psychological truth behind Levi's expression. He does not believe he deserves happiness. This belief is never spoken aloud, but it is implied through his actions and demeanor. Survivor's guilt runs deep within him. He outlives mentors, friends, and comrades, and with each loss, the question grows heavier: why am I still here? Characters burdened by survivor's guilt often deny themselves joy as a form of punishment. Levi's serious expression reflects that internal judgment. When Levi does experience moments that could bring happiness, they are fleeting and overshadowed by reality. Victories are temporary. Peace never lasts. He understands that smiling at a moment of calm does not change what is coming next. This awareness makes him emotionally guarded. In anime symbolism, smiles are often reserved for characters who believe in tomorrow. Levi believes in preparation, not promises. Yet, Levi's lack of a smile does not mean he lacks care. On the contrary, it reveals how deeply he feels. He honors others not with warmth, but with action. He fights for them, he survives for them, he remembers them. This form of devotion, quiet, relentless, and uncelebrated, is often more powerful than overt affection. Levi Ackerman never smiles because his world taught him that smiling comes at a cost he cannot afford. His expression reflects realism in a universe built on tragedy. It is not joyless, it is honest. And in a story filled with exaggerated emotions and dramatic declarations, Levi's seriousness stands as a reminder that some wounds do not fade, some losses do not heal, and some warriors carry their pain not on their faces, but in their silence. Levi Ackerman's story is not one of joy found or pain overcome, it is the story of endurance without escape. His tragic past does not break him, but it permanently shapes the way he moves through the world. Many characters heal by finding hope, love, or a reason to smile again. Levi's path is different. He learns to live with the weight instead of releasing it. His silence, his seriousness, and his unreadable expression are not signs of emptiness, but proof of everything he has carried and refused to drop. Levi never smiles because smiling would mean pretending the losses didn't matter, the sacrifices weren't real, and the dead were forgotten. Instead, he honors them the only way he knows how, by surviving, by fighting with discipline, and by making sure their deaths were not meaningless. His strength lies in accepting the truth of his world without softening it, and continuing forward even when there is no promise of happiness waiting at the end. In the world of Attack on Titan, Levi Ackerman teaches us that not every hero is meant to smile, and sometimes the strongest hearts are the ones that carry their pain in silence, and keep moving anyway.